Hello and welcome to Onto the Ball. We're back to dissect England going out of the World Cup at the hands of a very talented France team. It's the fallout, it's the aftermath, it's the hangover, whatever you want to call it. England just weren't good enough. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please remember to hit that subscribe button down there. Down there, that's it, down there.
Somewhere. You found it.
Is actually it's up there. There you go. Hit that subscribe button up there. I'm joined tonight by Travis Morgan. James OB can't make it. He's busy.
Oh, yeah.
So this is it, Travis. All this worry about Qatar, the World Cup, the heat, the bribery, should we say, the backhanders, Sepp Blatter, the debacle. You got any other negative superlatives to throw at it? Because
I think
it's
I
pretty
think
much
you've
over.
included it all. Yeah, it's over. It's over. It's certainly over for England, isn't it?
And I
Um,
got to admit, like, we come on a stream a couple of days ago saying we're going to pretend to care about England as much as we do Liverpool and Man United. But I've got to admit, Saturday night, I was gutted. I was gutted.
maybe, yeah.
I'd have rather England just got patterned up 2-1 and we went out. I'm calling it we now because I've got this patriotic pang. But yeah, Harry Kane's penalty, it just making me think what could have been. It was so close, yet so
Yeah.
far. We went out with a whimper. They're calling for Southgate's head now. They want him to walk. Some people want him to stay. Give me your thoughts on it. What was your overriding feeling when
Yeah.
England went out?
Good evening. Yeah, it literally felt like a little bit of a trip down memory lane. Like it was weird because as it was unfolding, and England were, especially in the second half, when England were on top and not taking advantage of being on top, I thought, here we go again. It was just a case of you just knew what was sort of going to happen. We'd read the script so many times, and you just felt after the game people were going to come on and say that England can come away from this feeling proud, and there's so many positives, which there is, but like for me, there's got to be a fine balance between if you want to mix it with the big boys, and the big boys being the Frances, I know Brazil had gone out, but the Brazils, the teams that win the World Cup regularly, I know Brazil haven't won it for a long time, but if you want to mix it with those, you got to put yourself under that sort of pressure that you've got to meet that expectation when the day comes, and especially as France weren't 100% at it and making mistakes at the back, there was an opportunity, a huge opportunity for England to put themselves in a semi-final, put themselves in the driving seat against Morocco with their tails up. Imagine coming off the back of a French win, going into that Morocco game one step away from the final. The whole nation would have just been buzzing, and it just felt like a little bit of a same old story feeling. Do you know what I mean? England dominant in the second half, sucker punch goal came too late, and then you get the lifeline with the penalty. You think, Kane, surely there's one time where you cannot miss a penalty in your career, and this is it. And he's just blazed it over the bar, and he looked nervous approaching the ball. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
get into it in a minute, but yeah, it was a case of same old story, and it did make you feel a little bit sick to the stomach. It was just a huge disappointment for everyone.
Yeah. I'm pretty glad that we didn't do an instant match reaction Saturday night because obviously tempers are flaring and emotion takes over. But
Mm,
when I've slept on it for a couple of nights, I
yeah,
started thinking, you know what the English press are like, the media, the fans. If you think of Harry Kane, and I said Saturday night he shouldn't have took that second penalty, and
mm,
everyone said it. It's against Hugo Lloris, who is his club teammate. He'd already
yeah,
took one, so Lloris would kind of know what side he favours. So it looked like he wasn't set. However, that's easy to say with hindsight. But
yeah.
you imagine Harry Kane, the captain of England. Imagine he thought, I tell you what, that's my club teammate. He kind of knows what way I like going. I'm going to step aside and let someone else take it. Can you
Mm.
imagine that person that stepped in missed? Can you imagine the uproar with Harry Kane? They would have said he bottled it. They would have said he's no captain. They would have said he deserted his country. It would have been 100 times worse than it is now. So he was pretty
Yeah.
much in a no-win situation, wasn't he? He had to step up. He had to take it. Hindsight doesn't matter now. He skied it over the bar, and he's got to live with that for the rest of his life now. He's going to be in absolute bits, especially playing for Spurs, knowing he's never going to win anything ever anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it would have been unfair for him to put that pressure on another player unless they really wanted it. But a man like Harry Kane, that's his bread and butter. Like, he would have been not thriving necessarily under the pressure, but that's what he does every day, week in, week out for Spurs. Whenever he takes penalties, he scores. And I'm sure in training, when he does take them against Lloris, he probably scores 99% of his penalties against Lloris. So I don't think it would have been necessary for him to give it to somebody else. What I would say is, like you said, in hindsight, and it's a beautiful thing afterwards, in his head, he probably should have went to another spot than the first spot because I think it takes that element of risk out of it. You know, that sort of kidology, that reverse psychology, like he's going to go somewhere else. So naturally, I'm going to go the same corner because he's probably thinking the same thing. So I think he probably should have went either opposite side or just smashed it straight down the middle. But like you said, you're splitting hairs in terms of the hindsight. Like it's easy to say after he's missed it. He's just like he said, he's come out and done an interview, not an extensive one, but he came out after the game and just said his execution, it just didn't go right for him. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He's done it lots of times before and he's scored lots of times and he was just so unfortunate that he's blazed it over at such a critical time for England. I think that knocked the stuffing out of everyone. I think
Oh, it
once
was
he
over, wasn't it?
yeah, it was over. From that point,
Heartbreak.
yeah, it was heartbreak. There was just I know there was the Rashford free kick at the end and things like that, but by that time just everybody was just that was the opportunity. As soon as that went, everyone knew it was sort of over.
I bet the night before Harry Kane dreamed of having a decisive penalty in the last 10 minutes.
Mm,
And then it obviously fell and he crumbled. He crumbled. Let's be honest. He crumbled. He must have
yeah,
tensed his body, just thought, I'm going to close my eyes to a certain extent and just blast it down the middle. And he just got it all horribly wrong. But as you say,
probably.
Harry Kane is one of the most accomplished penalty takers you'll ever find.
Yeah,
Not just now, but ever. If you think of how many penalties he's smashed, he's got that beautiful whip where he whips it so much it hits the side netting, giving keepers no chance. And before if time could have stood still, other than James Milner, who isn't in the England squad, would any
yeah,
England fan say, "Let's hold time still right now"? Let's get someone that no one would. Everybody would have wanted Harry Kane on that penalty to get his second goal of the game. But
yeah,
again, it's all buts and what ifs.
yeah.
I seen a tweet today about the Qatari backed Paris Saint Germain owners. They've
Right.
fixed it for Messi's Argentina and Mbappe's France to meet in the final. And it was
Yeah.
when I read that, I thought, do you know what? There's been so many contentious calls. When you see it written down, you think, Jesus Christ, that it does. It probably has got a bit of,
That's
um,
good to it.
yeah.
I
Don't.
went to see my mum over the weekend and I said to her, I think that they're gearing it up for Messi to win it.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to say it and you don't want to believe it. But there is match fixing that must go on in football.
Oh,
I don't know what,
100%.
yeah, I don't know what sort of scale it's on. It could be huge, it could be small. But I do think there's an element of everybody sort of wanting Messi to have this last hurrah. He deserves it. He's the best player of all time. He wants this World Cup and that. And like you said, he's getting man of the match every game. He's certainly not been Argentina's best player in every game. I think in the Australia game, he did run that game. But apart from that, I think he's been on the periphery of games. He's had moments of magic where he's sort of turned the game. With an incident or a moment, but in terms of consistency playing all the way through 90 minutes, he's got man of the match every week, every game, and I just don't know how he's been getting it. So there is an element of that for me, definitely. But yeah, going back to the France England game, I thought that England really did deal with Mbappe very well.
Mm.
I thought they managed the Mbappe threat well. There were positives to take out of the game, but I'm sure your next point is going to be coming on to Southgate, which we'll touch on. But I think he missed the trick with a couple of things, which would have given England a better chance of getting victory in that game.
Yeah, he definitely did. And obviously, anyone that watched our stream, the World Cup warm up or the group review, we said in here England have got gaffes in them. No one's won over by Jordan Pickford. You've got the centre back pairing of Stones and Maguire. They're not pulling up any trees. They are nowhere near the level of Varane and Upamecano, who didn't have the best game, as you pointed out. But that first goal, Pickford, for me, any other keeper gets that. A keeper with a bit more height, Alisson catches that. That big Dutch keeper we were talking about, Nopper, is it, or Noppler? He's 6'8". He would have caught that. It's such a nice height as well for a bit of a TV save to look great.
Yeah.
For me, Pickford messed up there big time. It wasn't even right in the corner. You could see the way his legs were set. He was just too late to push off from his legs. And because he hasn't got the height, and obviously from a Liverpool fan we say he's got little T-Rex arms, he should have saved that. And it's them moments. You're out of a whole World Cup for them moments.
Yeah, and he struck it to many from a distance as well. It's not like he struck it from like
Yeah.
18 yards out. It's a good 25 yards. He should have seen it a lot earlier. Should have been a lot quicker with his feet. He doesn't move his feet very well. He's very, very instinctive, but Pickford, like the save in the second half from the Giroud is a good reaction save. He's good at that. But anything from a distance, anything where he's got time to think, set himself, move his feet, he's not a very, very good keeper in that sense. I don't rate Pickford a great deal. I think, like you said, we said it before the tournament started, he has got mistakes in him. I think it's not necessarily a glaring error, but he is struck it. But like you said, a top keeper does save that quite comfortably, I think.
Yeah.
And that sort of set the tone. I thought France started the game well. Up until the goal, they were really, really impressive. They were moving the ball well. Griezmann again was making France tick. And then after the goal, it was pretty much all England without really. It reminded me of like a boxing match. You know when Mayweather used to box and he was like winning on points and he was just so good, like sort of defensively. That's what it reminded me of. Like England just throwing jabs, but couldn't really get in. And they were wearing the boxer down, but just didn't have that cutting edge or the quality to create enough clear cut chances. And France sort of had England at arm's length, but there was a little 10-minute spell in the second half where they did look a little bit nervous after England equalised for about 10, 12 minutes, where France looked very nervous, starting to give the ball away. They were getting frustrated. A couple of bookings were getting picked up. And I thought that was the opportunity then when I thought Southgate should have brought on somebody like Rashford to have a go at Upamecano when everything was a little bit unsettled. And I thought this was the time to go and win the game because he took Saka off, which I thought was a little bit strange because he won the penalty and was causing problems. But like you said, he wasn't. If he wanted to leave Foden on, I still would have brought on Rashford for one of the midfielders and just thought, right, I'm smelling blood. Let's go for it. But he kept the midfielders on. He went Mount like for like, and it just didn't quite work. It didn't have the effect that he was probably hoping that it was going to have.
Yeah, and you see that's the thing where Southgate can't win, isn't it? Because half of the fan base are slating him for not making changes early enough. The other half are slating him for taking Saka off. It's like he can't win. He's trying to make the changes, trying to change the game, influence the game, but the fans will say it was the wrong change at the wrong time. He can't win, but I was watching a TalkSport thing, and it was a Liverpool fan, but he was saying that Kane is 3 years past his best. And I did say at halftime on Saturday night, Kane, he is past his best. I don't know about 3 years past his best, but you know when you spoke about like Kane with Lewandowski, that world class peak striker, he's past that now. And it's a shame that he's only 29. It's a shame that he just lost his peak at the time when you've got the likes of Saka, Foden, Bellingham coming through. And it's timing is everything, isn't it? Especially in international football.
Yeah. In terms of Kane, what do you know when people are saying he's past his best? Are they saying he's past his best in terms of like his overall impact on the game, or just as a goal threat? What is it about Kane you're not
I
feeling
think
really?
they're talking about the goal threat and the stats because he's changed his game. He comes deeper a lot more, which come from Mourinho when he was at Spurs. He links the play really well, but I think the best way to try and describe it is that I'm not saying he never would have, but on Saturday night he wouldn't have scored the goal Giroud did to win it.
No,
I think that's the best way I can describe it. It just didn't feel like he would have been in the right place at the right time, smelling
that
the
sort of aggressive
opportunity.
run, yeah.
Yeah. But again, that brings us on to Giroud's winner. For me, Maguire was caught on the wrong side. And again, it falls in that bracket of we knew going into the tournament, Pickford isn't the best, Maguire isn't the best. And again, in them moments, that's cost England. He went to sleep just for a second. Giroud ghosted in front. And it was a great ball by Griezmann, like you say. Griezmann he must be favourite for the player of the tournament so far, surely more than Messi, anyway.
Yeah. I think Griezmann's been player of the tournament personally. I think he's just been unbelievable for France, playing in that deeper role that he's not really normally accustomed to, but he's really adapted to it just perfectly. Just don't give the ball away. The range of passing as well, short passes, long passes, he's got the lot. And like you said, he's not afraid to put a foot in. He's been getting about, putting tackles in. He's literally is the complete sort of box to box midfielder for France. The thing about the goal is normally when there's a set play or a cross and it gets headed out and you come out, it's about sort of knowing your players because when you played football like ourselves, just even at amateur levels or whatever, it depends who you're playing against. You can cheat a little bit. So obviously Maguire's come out as the balls come out and not picked his man up and thought, oh, it's gonna have to be a cross or pinpoint accuracy to really pick Giroud out. And Sod's law, it's a cross or pinpoint accuracy and picks Giroud out. And then he thought, oh crap, I haven't got time to get back in. Do you know what I mean? Any other day, Griezmann, well, not necessarily Griezmann, but that cross, if that cross comes in another 10 times, he probably doesn't hit him again. It's that good a ball, do you know what I mean? Because there's not really, it's not even a crossing angle. He's quite deep and he's just whipped it dead flat across the face. It's just such an incredible cross. And that sometimes you can't take the credit away from the attackers sometimes. As much as it's Maguire's man, the cross is that good. Like, if he is touch tight, there's do you know what I mean? It's a Terry Butcher moment. It's a clash of heads and blood everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because you literally have to be head to head to really stop that from really going in. So, yes, I do think it's Maguire's fault, but at the same time, the cross is unbelievable. And like you
Yeah,
said,
it was.
it's a worldie.
Yeah, you can't take that anything away from Griezmann there for sure.
Mm.
Obviously, all the talk now is Gareth Southgate. Should he stay or should he go? What camp are you in? I'm not sure if England fans are crazy because England have got to a World Cup semi-final, a European final, and then gone into this World Cup with this kind of feeling that get past France and we could potentially win it. Are England
Yeah.
fans starting to feel like they're the complete package and Southgate's holding them back? Or is it down to Southgate that England have done so well in the last 4 years? Are you
It's a
Southgate in or out?
I'm Southgate out, but not because I don't think he's done a good job. Let me explain what I mean. It might sound a bit weird to you. Southgate has done a good job with the squad at his disposal and with his limited coaching ability. I don't know how much of the coaching he does, but in terms of his managerial club career, it doesn't pull up any trees. He's managed Middlesbrough, a couple of other clubs. He's obviously been with the FA a long time as well. I don't know if they've had that in mind for that natural transition from him to go from the FA into the manager's role. But don't get me wrong, I think he's done a good job. One of two things needs to happen. If England are going to be put in that echelon of clubs that are going to compete for the World Cup, then he's not the guy. Or the expectations lowered for England. Because if England get into semi-finals and finals, is he overachieving? That's the question. Is that an overachievement? Because the next step is winning the tournaments. But if you want to win the tournaments, you've got to have that mentality, that elite mentality that allows you to win the tournaments. Now that comes from the manager. So if we are happy getting to semi-finals and quarter-finals, that's fine. Keep Southgate; it will do it every tournament.
So do you
If you want
think, are you alluding to, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you
yeah.
alluding to Gareth Southgate hasn't got the CV to stand in that changing room and be like, we're winning this fucking thing?
Hmm. I don't think he has personally, no. But the other side to the coin is would this squad, let's say in a dream world, Pep Guardiola managed this squad, yeah? Would it win the World Cup? The answer is it would have a damn sight better chance of winning it, wouldn't it? Like you
Yeah,
just put Pep
probably.
Guardiola in those shoes of Gareth Southgate, you would believe as a fan that they could go on to win the tournament, couldn't you?
Probably,
So
yeah.
exactly. So how can it not be Southgate? Like that's what I'm saying. It's not. It doesn't deserve pelters. Like oh my god, it's his fault. Bomb him out. It's not to that degree. What I'm saying is, it's like I had this conversation with somebody and I sort of related it to Liverpool. When you had Brendan Rodgers, he finished second and he probably would finish in the top four every single time at Liverpool with the squad that he had, with the players he had, etc. But when Jurgen Klopp came knocking on the door, you're upgrading, and all of a sudden it puts you in a different bracket of expectation level because of the manager that's in place. Nothing else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's obviously you get players that you sign ins, etc. But all of a sudden, Liverpool fans felt that they belonged in that place now. You feel that you belong in a place that can compete for titles, compete for the biggest trophies. And that's where I think England are. I don't know who that manager is. That's another debate.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like
hard, isn't it? But
that is
but it is a good point. Like you say, if Pep Guardiola was there, he'd be there to win it.
yeah.
He'd probably be planning what he's doing in the final
Mm,
while they're still in the group stage. Whereas
yeah.
Gareth Southgate is probably one game at a time.
Yeah.
We're England. We're just trying to do our best.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. Like that's the message. You can see the tone like wherever England finish, it's we're dead proud, we've been brilliant, this and that, and he keeps that positive vibe. It's the social trait again, isn't it? Like the
I was wondering when we were
pos-
gonna get there.
it's the positive vibes, the
Ole
this,
Gunnar
that.
Solskjaer.
It's just
Ole
that, like
Gunnar
you're
Southgate.
right. Ole Gunnar Southgate, mate, done well, but if England want more, they have to get a manager that demands more from everything, not just the team, the FA, and getting everyone on board. Like, but like I said, if England feel they're going in the right direction and they think Southgate is going to win a tournament in the next couple of tournaments, then they should keep him. Do you know what I mean? But they've got to apply that pressure to him. They've got to say, in the next Euros or World Cup, we want the trophy now. Do you know what I mean? You've been here, you've had 6 years, you've come close, now it's time to deliver, and he's got to expect that pressure.
So Pep Guardiola would demand that they bring the World Cup home, whereas Gareth Southgate demands they bring home Dave the cat. Did you see that?
I did see that in the press conference. When you compare it to all the other teams that believe they should be winning it, like even the Netherlands, they don't win the tournaments, but most of the time their manager leaves if they don't cut it. The Brazil managers left, the Spanish managers left. They all just walk out because they're just like, I've prepared for years for this occasion and I've not been good enough. I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? Somebody else can do it because I've not been good enough. I don't deserve to be here. And that's the mentality these countries see. It's not a personal thing. It's elite level sport. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we can't just keep hanging on to managers through sentiment. As horrible as it is, it's a job where we're meant to be winning. Do you know what I mean? That's the main thing that counts, especially in international football.
And as you say, Gareth Southgate kind of fell into the England role, didn't he? The England hot
Yeah.
seat without the CV. So if he walks, he's not walking into the same kind of job that Luis Enrique is or Louis Van Gaal, unless Van Gaal was retiring now. I'm not sure what he's doing. Um, so yeah, he's not going to walk easy, is he? And
No.
go and take over at Middlesbrough again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've been talking actually on Talk Sport and having polls and stuff like that, saying would Southgate could he manage a top six team in the Premier League? Um,
Never.
can't see it
Who would
personally.
give
I
him
mean,
the
Danny Mills,
opportunity?
exactly. Danny Mills was like in a staunch defense of him, saying that there are man managers and there are tactical managers. And he basically said that Sir Alex Ferguson was a rubbish coach, but he was an excellent man manager. And he was saying Southgate's of a similar ilk.
Danny Mills.
Yeah, Danny Mills was saying that. Yeah,
Straight up disrespect.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. Disrespect me. So
I'm surprised you went ferociously
I,
tweeting Danny
I was
Mills.
kidding me. I was like, what are you? That's a great
Oh,
man.
that's buckled me.
But yeah,
Oh, the great coach's
and,
coach, Danny Mills. Oh, dear. So, yeah, so that's it for another 4 years or another 2 years for tournament football. England, who knows what's going to happen from here? The likes of Jordan Henderson might retire now. You don't know. He said he's not.
Exactly, mate. I mean, last point on that, because Gary Neville said after post-match was like, oh, well, I want Gareth Southgate to 100% be at the next Euros, definitely. Even beyond that, he was like saying at the World Cup. So that's another 4 years. But if you put 4 years into context of this team, how many of these players are actually going to be involved? Like, you take all the back line out for a start. Do you know what I mean? Shaw, Maguire, Stones, maybe Stones, Walker certainly, Hendo, all 5 of them aren't going to be at the next World Cup. Then you've got Harry Kane, he's probably not going to be at the World Cup. So it leaves Saka, Foden, Bellingham, them 3. Pickford, I don't know. And then Rashford, I don't know. Because Rashford's probably going to be 30 by then. So
Declan Rice, Reece James, Trent Arnold.
yeah, you would think Rice and James, definitely. Trent's not getting a squeeze. How old's Trent now? He's still 23, isn't he?
23, yeah.
Yeah, so it depends on form. So
it's the fashion to mention Jude Bellingham in every single podcast
yeah,
of every club. So we've got to give him a mention. The guy is on another level. I keep saying it. I keep banging on. He must be bored of me, but he's 19 years old. When you think of a Harvey Elliott or a Fabio Carvalho or who's that lad, Garnacho, you think of 19-year-olds, you think they're kids. Bed them in. He's England's best player. He's the strongest. He's the tallest. He's the conductor. He's dictating all the players. He's a phenomenon. And Liverpool are so heavily linked with him that I have convinced myself we're signing him now. I'm convinced. I am convinced there's a top secret deal that's been done. That's why he's so friendly with Henderson and Trent Arnold. He knows he's coming to Liverpool. The price has been set. The contract's been signed. For some reason, it's top secret, not to be public knowledge until maybe April, May, towards the end of the season. I've convinced myself it's a done deal. If he goes to Real Madrid now or even Man City, I'm going to be absolutely beside myself.
He will revolutionise any squad in world football. There's literally no team in world football he couldn't get in and play. Like, literally. Like, Real Madrid is a threat because you've got Modric and Kroos who are like plus 30s. And I know they've signed Camavinga and Tchouaméni. That's there too. But you could see him in a midfield 3 with them. You could see him in Man City's team. You could see him in Man City's team. You could see him in Liverpool's team.
The thing is, surely when he's rocking it at 17, 18 and now 19, surely there's a danger he's bent out by 30.
He just looks like he could play forever, though. Like you said, I mean, he's got everything, though. Like, he can sit and just pass it if he wants. He can go box to box. He can go beyond the strikers. He can play off the left. And, like, playing off the left, it doesn't, like, harm his game. I think it takes away from the team a little bit because you want him in and around the box, making things happen and things like that. But even off the left, he can play link play, little 1-2s and that. He's literally got everything, and he's going to go for 100 million plus, and
at least
justified. It's justified.
I think he could be like Steven Gerrard. He could play anywhere, like you say, the left, the centre. He could play right back. And I honestly think he'd be the best right back in the league, like Steven Gerrard sometimes would. I really rate him that highly. But you know, one of the best things about it, he seems a genuinely nice guy with a grounded family. Like that Garnacho seems a little twat already. But Bellingham seems a real nice guy.
I know, like, even when he scored, it just like didn't phase him, did it? It's just like in the interview, it's just like, oh, it's just nice to get a goal, but it's about the team, and it's just business. Just everything's just straight business to him, doesn't it? He's on there, he's on the pitch to win. He's such a natural born winner, and he would die for the cause. You know what I mean? Like, you could see how much it hurt him after the game, after England exited the tournament, but he'll be back. Do you know what I mean? He just, you can just see like he's just itching to just play. And like you said, he's been fantastic for Dortmund. Obviously, he was linking up with Haaland and the likes of Jadon Sancho and stuff for years at such a young age. But it's definitely time for him to move on from the Bundesliga. And that's no disrespect to the Bundesliga. I think it would be magnificent to see him in the Premier League. It really would, whether he goes to Liverpool, City.
How hurt will you be if he signs for Liverpool?
I'll be massively hurt. Huge, massively hurt. He's not going to come to United. Not just. It depends. Like if we sneak top four, we've got half a chance. But I just can't see it. Like the money we would have to pay and everything. And in terms of the project, it would be a staple part of it. Do you know what I mean? Casemiro, Bellingham. You could see it as part of a little midfield duo, which would go over really, really well. But he's going to have multiple offers. He's probably at a stage where he probably thinks I can win titles now. Do you know what I mean? He can win leagues and Champions Leagues. He's played in the Champions League. He's had a taste of that. And if City or Liverpool come knocking, do you know what I mean? It's hard to look elsewhere really, apart from Real Madrid.
But the thing is with Liverpool is, like you say, he's going to want to come and win titles and Champions Leagues. With the Liverpool, they're going to have to convince him, surely. They're going to have to sell a bit more of a project than what they're showing now. Like, he's not going to anchor a midfield with Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho, is he?
No, no.
I'm obviously heading towards we're going to do the double signing of Bellingham and Declan Rice, but that'd be in excess of 200 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of outlay, a lot of outlay.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like you said, it's pivotal times for Liverpool and United, especially with the ownership and the direction that both clubs are going in. That's going to be part of Bellingham's choice as well. He's going to want to know what direction the club's going in. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's going to be, like you said, 150 million a season spent on this team to really compete at the highest level. Because, like you said, he's going to have the pit. PSG's owners already come out and said they're willing to spend absolutely every penny to get Bellingham. They'll throw anything at him. Do you know what I mean? And they've got infinite funds. So
See, and
that
that's
is
the
an
thing. For
option.
Liverpool to even be in the mix and in the discussion, surely we're throwing like Salah money at him. You're going to come in on the top as the top earner. Surely to God, we're not going to try and get him on the cheap. Like,
No,
here's 150k a week, prove yourself, and then in 2 years we'll put you on. That's not going to
no,
happen, is it? So
that's not going to
for us
happen,
to be
mate.
in the discussion, we must be throwing the kitchen sink at
His,
him.
his agent won't allow that. Like, you think he's been the best player at the World Cup along with Griezmann. He's coming towards the end of his contract at Dortmund and he's going to have every single club knocking. So why would he go to a project where he's going to have to build? He's going to go straight into a team and start winning stuff instantly. Do you know what I mean?
But
The only thing that,
the
go
thing is,
on.
his agent is his dad, isn't he?
Mm,
So there might be an element of naivety there.
mm.
Maybe his dad's a Liverpool fan. I'm sure Bellingham's a Liverpool fan.
What makes you think that?
What's that?
What makes you think that?
He's a Liverpool fan.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, as far as I've heard, yeah, Steven Gerrard's his idol. And apparently we've been courting him for a good 5 years. We were in the
Yeah,
mix before he went to Dortmund. I think we tried to sign him on the cheap before he signed a professional contract with Birmingham.
yeah.
And he's also got a younger brother that we're courting as well.
He's at Birmingham now.
Yeah, and apparently the rumours are that he's better than Jude Bellingham. So you never know. That might be part of the deal. Look, we're signing your brother on his first professional contract, basically poaching him. You never know, and it might be like, and your brother's coming, Jude's coming, and I don't know. It's all ifs and
I
buts. It's
take his
all ifs
brother
and
at
buts.
United, mate. I take his brother in the United midfield now, mate. To
I've
be
not even
fair,
seen him play, but I know his
you're not even
genes.
seeing him, but yeah,
His
I
DNA
think
is good for me. Sign him up.
what scares me though is that Haaland City link up. Does he want that again? Do you know what I mean? That is the scary thing. Playing under Pep, linking up with Haaland again. And they've got like Gundogan getting to an age now, KDB getting to that age. They might just think, right, he's the next one in line to just keep that carousel of talent going. Do you know what I mean? They've got Rodri, Bellingham. Do you know what I mean? It's just that there just worries me a little
But
bit.
you don't know how close he was with Haaland, though, do you? I mean, obviously he's never went for moonlit walks with Haaland like he has with Trent Arnold in Qatar, has he? They look like a right couple getting a selfie together. Oh, good work, Agent
Man.
Alexander Arnold. We're just going to end on these rumours. Have you heard these rumours about Enzo Fernandez, Argentina?
Not before you told me, to be fair. He's
Yeah,
had a good tournament there, and he's a good player.
yeah.
Young lad, burst onto the scene. He's really, really stood out for Argentina. He's been one of their better players.
So they've
So,
obviously bought him with some of the Nunez money. They bought him from River Plate for 10 million euros with 8 millions to be added on to performance related. And
Premier League gets shafted on
well,
fees.
this is it. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, why weren't we buying him for 10 million euros? Like, what is our scouting network doing? Because
They just know
maybe
with the
that's
cheap.
why a couple of the
Yeah.
scouting network have left, because there would have been discussions about Bellingham going to Dortmund 2 years ago. Someone has dropped a bollock there. They must have. They must have
Yeah.
said, look, we could have had him for 25 million there. We didn't fight hard enough. We didn't scout him early enough. We didn't convince him. And now it's going to cost us in excess of 100 million. Now we're linked with this Enzo Fernandez. We could have had him for 10 million euros. And now we're buying him as the finished article. He'll be probably 60, 70 million euros now.
Yeah.
And it's always the same. It was the same with Allison. All these rumours that we courted him and it wasn't right timing, work permit. Why are we waiting until they're the finished article and spending 60, 70 million on them?
The only thing I can think of is like the Premier League's so unique from like a physical standpoint. Do you know what I mean? That these players, they go to all the leagues to sort of become men, play against men. Like the Premier League is very unforgiving, like in terms of the time you get to settle. Do you know what I mean? Like before Bellingham went to Dortmund, if he just blasted straight into that Liverpool team at 16 and he's getting roughed up and thrown about and people say he's a flop, that's just not what you want. Do you know what I mean? So he's had a perfect transition, and that's where advisors and agents, they're meant to be doing their job and they're meant to be advising the best players sort of move at the time. So in hindsight, like you said, getting Bellingham here at a younger age would have been nice, but would he have been the player he is now from a physical, from a mental aspect? Getting Champions League experience under his belt without that sort of pressure on him. Now he's ready for that step, goes into a Liverpool, and you know you're buying somebody that's ready. So, like you said, you take the hit on the money because you know somebody's going to come in and sort of deliver instant results. And as much as I hate to say it, like Liverpool would be a good move for Jude Bellingham. Do you know what I mean? I think if he goes to a Liverpool or a City, especially, I'd love him at United, but I just don't think we're going to be able to match his sort of personal ambitions in terms of winning titles. There's no guarantee we're going to win a title within the next 3 to 4 years. I'd like to think so, and I think we are moving in the right direction. But I think he's going to be more guaranteed of that success at, say, a Liverpool, certainly a City, and a Real Madrid. I can't see Chelsea being in the hunt for him.
No, I can't.
Um, I can't see them being in the hunt. Certainly not Spurs. And I think PSG are the only other club outside of those top three clubs that I've mentioned that could probably afford him.
I can see Declan Rice going to Chelsea myself, London boy and all that. But would they want to spend the big money to bring him back, as we mentioned in a previous stream?
A huge summer ahead. I mean,
God, it's
Nkunku's
going to be massive, isn't it?
yeah, he's more or less pre-agreed at
Or even a
Chelsea.
big January. Remember, we've got the January transfer window coming up. It is a bit of a trend to sign players after a big tournament like the World Cup or the Euros. So the World Cup is in December, so the January window could see some of them move.
Fabrizio and Ornstein have reared their heads again out the woodwork, mate. Honestly, I've
Yeah.
seen a few tweets, a few links to players and stuff. Like you said, they're gonna be very busy in January. Like you said, the Premier League's nearly back and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy January as well. You're right.
We're going to be back with more podcasts, more streams, especially when Liverpool and Man United are playing again more regularly. And we'll be talking about transfer news, ins and outs, injuries, and everything else that comes with it. Travis, thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure as always.
If anyone's made it this far, please remember to like and subscribe. It only takes a second. Hit that button down there. Okay, cheers, Trav. I'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, guys.